I'm cooking dinner right now, so I figured I might just talk to this camera. I've been on like a slow and steady artistic journey. And by slow and steady, I mean, honestly, since I was probably like 6, I knew I wanted to be some sort of musician. And in phases throughout my life, I've tried to actualize it, I guess. Uh, when I was in like middle school, I would, me and my friends would constantly have these plots to create a band. But I wouldn't say that we actually made a band. Like, we'd make names, we'd draw logos, we might write some rough drafts of some songs, or I would write some rough drafts of some songs. And that would be kind of it. And we would do this periodically for like years. We would just like slowly rotate through different band ideas. Maybe scribble down some music, but it never really went beyond that, beyond some scribblings. I mean, maybe in my private time I would write things for myself, but never with other people. Um, and then I remember being 18 and having this like almost existential crisis with one of my friends, and I was just like, I can't go to college. Like, I feel like if I go to college, I'm gonna ruin my life. And to be honest, a part of me wishes that I listened to 18-year-old me, because I think that was a very true and authentic version of myself. And I think in subsequent years, I kind of lost touch with that person. But I think 18-year-old me knew what was up. And 18-year-old me knew that if I went to college, I would go through this path of trying to be like a successful person, but in a more traditional and stereotypical, stable kind of way, rather than biting the bullet and just going 100% towards making music or whatever. And I went to college, and I struggled. I mean, I didn't necessarily struggle like academically or anything like that. I just struggled socially, I struggled emotionally. I struggled. And I dropped out like twice. I eventually finished, and I'm glad I did. I learned a lot about myself along the way, but it also took a lot of energy away from me that I could have been dedicating towards things that I cared more about. But I did that. I went through the normal adult process of getting a normal job, and I immediately hated it. I got a job at a startup doing something like tangentially healthcare related, and I thought that would be a good route for me. I thought it would be an interesting challenge, and it kind of aligned with some of my interests and values, or at least I thought, as a person. And I did that, got laid off, and it was like the biggest weight off of my shoulder. I felt so relieved, because during that time, all I could do was like plot internally about how I wanted to like ultimately quit and pivot to really seriously being an artist. Because maybe like a few years prior to that, I had started like producing music on my own, writing more consistently, and like really starting to, at least as a songwriter, like hone my skill a little bit. And I found a lot of joy in it, but obviously, like, me being me, or I don't know, I really wanted more to come out of it. I wanted to be able to push myself to make music, to put it out, but I was really hesitant. I think the biggest reason, honestly, is that I'm a perfectionist, or at least then I was a perfectionist, for sure. I don't know if I'm a perfectionist as much now, but I was definitely aiming for perfection before. And I just kept getting in my own way. I kept limiting myself. I was like, well, if this song or this idea isn't fleshed out perfectly, then people are going to think I'm ridiculous. They're going to judge me. They're going to think I'm a loser, whatever. And I just made excuses, and I either didn't create or I didn't share what I was creating. And, like, if you're an artist, like, the whole point of making things is so that you have something to share. If you're holding it all for yourself, it's kind of, I mean, it's nice, it might be therapeutic, but are you really an artist if you're not, like, sharing it with people? Not allowing other people to take it in? But yeah, I just kind of, like, would make things and hold it in, and occasionally release little dribbles here and there, but it never really amounted to nothing because I wasn't super consistent, and I didn't really believe that anything I was making was good. And so now I'm here at this point in my life where I'm again in the throes of a wonderful 9 to 5. I've moved to a new city, and in a lot of ways it has changed me as a person, but I thought it would change me, I guess, more and more quickly. But I'm in the throes of a new job, and all I can think about is escaping and, like, fully committing to this life, to a life as an artist. And yeah, I don't know, it's really stressful in a lot of ways. It's really isolating in a lot of ways. And I feel like a part of me is almost like holding on to this job, not even out of fear, but almost like as like a fire under me to, like, move forward towards my artistic goals. But I honestly kind of feel like that's a little bit of bullshit, and I really do eventually need to just quit this job and at least pivot to something that gives me more energy, leaves me with more energy, rather than, like, me constantly dreading it. And it's not even that this is, like, my job is bad. It's just, like, it bores me. I feel like the worst thing for me personally as a human is being bored. But, I'm kind of at this, like, weird crossroads where I'm like, I know I need to be more bold, artistically, creatively, publicly, socially. I need to be more bold. And I've, like, practiced taking some of the baby steps, but now it's kind of like, if you don't rip off the Band-Aid, what's the point? So, I don't really know what the point of this was. I think partially it's just venting. I think I'm also trying to keep a record of where I'm at this point in my life, because I do have a strong feeling that in the future I'm not going to be here. Like, not dead. That's not what I mean. But I mean not in this state of mind. Not in this insecurity, I guess, about who I am and what I want as an artist. And so I guess this is kind of like the beginning of me really sharing myself and sharing this journey that I want to go on. And, I don't know, kind of ridding myself of that idea of being a perfectionist. I really do want to share more music this year. I've been writing so much, but I've just been holding it all to myself, and I want to stop being so insecure. Because even if it's bad, I'd rather know and have that motivation and fire to improve rather than being stuck in stuck in my head. So here's hoping that this is the start of me just shedding those layers, ridding myself of the fear and anxiety, and just allowing myself to like go full steam ahead towards what I want. Towards not even just what I want, what I need. Because I feel like my body constantly gives signs when things aren't aligned, and I feel like it's continuing to give me signs that like, bruh, you gotta pivot. And you gotta pivot in the right direction this time. Not pivot to escape something. You need to pivot towards who you are. So this is me pivoting towards who I am.